was I was sitting backstage watching my intro roll, and thank you all for appreciating that. But I loved that picture of Purple Valkyrie, and when I made it, I wasn't sure if she was gonna like it or not, right? And I showed it to her. She's like, "Oh my god!
Oh my god,
Oh
I
my
love it!
god! Oh my god!" And I'm like, "I know, right? Oh my god!" It's fun to make those things. And then nobody cares that I look like a satyr. They're like, but look, it's Purple Valkyrie. And
I
she looks
understand
super
one.
hot. She looks super hot. She looks like this pagan Wiccan kind of hippie, Earth Mother type, right? Thank you for doing my job for me, Purple, and bringing the chat in like I always forget to do. But it's fun making those things, it's those little things, it's like frosting on a cake, like sprinkles on a Christmas cookie. Speaking of which, do you know, Purple Valkyrie, there's only 64 days left to get your Christmas shopping done. It's a
Where
true
is
story.
this? Where is this year gone? It's like we're almost at Halloween as well.
I know. I
What the heck?
know. It's funny because I think it was a couple episodes ago we were talking about what Werner von Braun said on his bet to his assistant for posterity, and was very particular about what that this be recorded because it was so important. We're going to lead off with that article because Purple, you actually went out and found this one. I'll let you take the lead on it, but let me get to this super chat real quick from our man Daniel. And Daniel says, for $2, thank you. That picture almost does the real thing credit. I know, right?
Oh.
It's hard to improve upon perfection when you're talking about the Valkyrie, which is purple. Hail to you, Daniel. It's great to see you. A bunch of people I saw in chat. Jacob Ironside, Dempsey, Mr. Batsu, the one and only Kyle. If you want to come on here, dude, and jump in and talk woo-woo if you're free, tag me on Twitter or something, or just put it in the chat. I'll throw you a link. You and I were up a little late last night doing some recording for the big special project we're working on, and that is about 90% in the can. Thank you for doing that. You guys are going to love it. I am going to tell you that. Dempsey says, Christmas gives me anxiety every year. Well, it usually gives me socks, sweaters that aren't long enough in the arms because I'm 6'5", and it usually makes me sleepy because I love turkey. I really do. I could eat leftover Thanksgiving turkey like for a month and be really happy. I don't know. Are you guys like that in chat where like I always buy way too big a turkey because I want like a week and a half worth of turkey left?
Yes.
The problem is I run out of my really good stuffing and pumpkin pie and like cranberry sauce and sweet potatoes before I run out of turkey. Purple Valkyrie, what's going on with you? How's it going? I think the last time I saw you was like 24 hours ago. We're talking about Halloween candy.
We were talking about Halloween candy, and you and Prophet of the Dragon were about to throw hands over, I think it was cereal, if I remember correctly.
No, when you're dealing with the criminally insane, like Prophet of the Dragon, who claims to know what good candy is, and certainly, obviously, doesn't know just how good Dawkins is in the pantheon of 80s heavy metal bands, you have to be a firm hand to the tiller. You do. Purple Valkyrie, what the hell is going on with all of this UFO stuff?
Yes.
Again?
Again, it's a little bit sus, and we've talked about this recently, but let me bring in this article if that's okay, and let me talk about it, guys. Let's see. So this is the most recent one that we've had, and it was actually on this today, the TV program that you guys have, but this is from yesterday, and they've talked about it today. So we have got an interview and pictures that have been shared of pilots sharing videos of strange UFO sighting in skies over the US. Now,
do we have any of those images?
We do. They are below. I will scroll down to get them in a second. So these are the stills, but we also have the video as well, which I can play a little bit of.
Chat, I'm going to drop you out just a little bit to make it full screen.
But yeah, again, it's the bright lights that the pilots are talking about, and these are, I guess, you would call them credible witnesses.
Chat, I'm going to allow you to give opinions on this stuff. If you see images, you all have eyes, you all have senses, you all have experiences. I would love to hear what you have to say about this. Purple, please do go on. Please do go on.
Yes. So let me break it down for you. I'll read it and then we'll go down to the video itself. So this is from yesterday, and this is from over the Pacific Ocean and from Missouri. It's from the Today Show. So pilots across America and most likely from around the world have noticed and recorded lately these glowing whitish UFOs in the skies around them. Now, this isn't a new phenomenon. We know that pilots for decades now have been seeing these things, and more importantly, ships also have been reporting them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The
It is
entire
so
world-
important. And it's so important that the government of France, I think before the stooge that works for Klaus got in there, whatever his name is, Macaroni or micro dick or something like that. But anyway, before he got in there, the government of France actually put together their official extraterrestrial how they were going to send ambassadors, how the diplomatic corps to interact with the aliens. This is a couple of years ago. We're going someplace with this. We are. Purple Valkyrie, please continue.
Absolutely, you are correct. So this pilot bluntly states that these objects were definitely intelligent, controlled, or he hesitates biological in origin. And that is important because that's not something that we've heard of before. Whereas before, everything where they've talked about UFOs, they've talked about them being, if not man-made, then they are objects rather than living things. But these, he talks about them being possibly biological entities, which I think is fascinating. So let's say craft more of an orb, perhaps. But let's see what else he says. He says, now I've reported similar objects on the video and often mentioned that the possibilities of these objects not being alien controlled craft, but an alien biological entity, intelligent or non-intelligent, still a creature that can travel through space and time in our atmosphere.
Oh, fascinating. Fascinating. 1 second, please. Mr. Batsu says, my belief in UFOs is far greater than my trust in the government. I agree. I agree. 2 weeks to slow the spread. Now you don't need to eat. And who needs power?
Yes, and this last bit, which I will cover, I think is fascinating. So it says there is a big wave coming, a wave I have warned the world about in recent months, and we've talked about it as well. Aliens are making themselves known, even if the world's governments forbid it, which they do. It's time for us to all learn the truth. So would you guys like to see this? I'll play a little bit of it so Salty doesn't get struck. If
No
that's
audio,
okay.
please.
No
No audio,
audio.
please.
Okay.
Yeah, no audio,
Let's,
please. I know it's problematic. It's problematic like I don't know, like us talking about things that are going on in the Crimea is problematic. It's problematic like saying that, oh God, I have to be, it's not that I'm a coward. It's just that I really want to release the big project I do on Halloween before my channel gets nuked for just telling the truth. It's not subject. It's not Corey's truth. It's not Salty's truth. It's not Purple's truth. It's the truth, which is apparently way too much of a thing. Purple Valkyrie, please show this thing before I get nuked.
Let's show a little bit of this and see what he sees or they see. So these are the stills that we see, and they've talked about these in triangular formations before. We've seen this quite a lot.
All over. We looked at
all
video last week. From California with the same patterns, where they're it's like some type of mother craft with then other apertures or lights or drones or whatever it is, sort of peeling off, and then they're creating these geometric shapes. Now, I'm going to go with Occam's razor on this. I think this is some type of larger drone, which then has like dronelets or drone juniors on them that come off. Especially when we're talking about all the military bases around San Diego and the coast out there. But it is interesting because this was in the middle of the Pacific as opposed to dicking around, off the coast of San Diego or San Francisco or wherever it was. But please do continue, Purple Valkyrie.
Yes, absolutely. I'll play a little bit more of this, but you are absolutely correct. And watching this video, these things they seem to hold a formation and then they separate and then they come back into formation, which is something that we've seen multiple times. And especially in the one that we talked about only recently, there's another one that just appeared in that formation. So we've got a 3, then a 4, and then one joins the other one. I don't know what to make of these, but we
It
seem
looks
to
like
be getting
bullshit to me.
a lot more.
It looks like bullshit to me. And again, I want to believe in things that have proof or reasonable proof. To me, I don't know what this is. I need to see this in the scope and scale of the ground. Was this over a Walmart parking lot? You know, where kids are flying around remote controlled things with lights on them and somebody's using a FLIR camera. I mean, you know, if it's one thing, that crazy thing with the United States Senate UFO investigation bullshit that went on a couple of months ago, where they're literally looking at large mylar balloons, which are targeting drone balloons for fighter aircraft, and saying, we don't know what that is. That must be a UFO. And it's like, get out of here, kiss my ass, really. Like, we kept asking, why are they doing this? What are they distracting us from? You know, if you're going to distract somebody, you do it now. Like, you know, when you're turning the power off and making sure there's no food next year and destroying our currency.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. And the BBC's writing radio scripts to talk about how in the UK, they won't be able to restore power and cell service for at least 36 hours.
Yes.
Those are being written. Those are being written now. They're leaked now. That is not made up bullshit.
No, they've actually told us when they're going to turn the power off.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, again, the funny thing about being in a position of leadership, it's not just telling people what to do. It's being a leader and being responsible for what happens. Apparently that part they just don't teach anymore. But where, you know, we talked about it. You and I watched 2 documentaries. And Purple Valkyrie, do you remember the name of either one of those documentaries? People in chat, I cannot recommend the first one enough. The second one's a little unshaven armpit, big 70s Bush hippie type stuff. But the first one is really good. Do you remember what the name of that was?
I do. I'm just looking it up for you. I will,
okay. But anyway, within that documentary, it went through decades of declassified information, the same declassified information that was released. It was like 25,000 pages of this stuff, guys. Who the hell has time to go through that, right? Well, this one cat did. And some of it he got before, well, it looks like maybe before it was declassified. He also had firsthand accounts from people who had retired, whose whose non-disclosures had lapsed to a certain degree, that had been in service working for agencies and could talk a little bit, but they can't, you know, tell you the color of things and somebody's name and, you know, all that stuff. Purple, did you get the name of that movie?
I did, yeah. It was Unacknowledged was the first one, and that came out in 2017. And
Just
this
watch
is
that one
by Stephen Greer, which I highly recommend.
I hadn't seen these before. Now, I'd seen Greer around. My first instinct with a lot of this stuff is he a grifter? You know, is this just all made up? But in this case, he wasn't trying to sell you on something in the first movie. The second movie, it's kind of like he wanted you to download an app, but I don't even think that's what it was. I'm going to have to rewatch the second movie because it was a little metaphysical, but it also is metaphysical in the same way that Purple, you and I have talked about we as human beings are not using all of our brain capacity and our attunement and our sensitivities. Yes. And I think Dr. Greer has an interesting take on those. I do, and I think it's worth discussing. But that first movie, and it was undisclosed, correct, Purple?
Correct, yeah, undisclosed.
Yeah. So Undisclosed, I highly, highly, highly recommend you watch that movie. Purple and I watched it for a lark, and we were just blown away. I had to get up, pace around, yell a lot of profanity, you know, like, look, I knew it. Look at this. I mean, of course, this is the way it is. Part of what came out of that was the last words of Werner Braun. Again, who's Werner Braun? Well, he's the reason why we had a NASA space program. And he was, of course, a captured Nazi scientist who was. We were racing with the Russians to grab every scientist we could. They got a lot of the physicists and biophysicists, and that's why their biochemistry and their mathematics are through the absolute roof. They also had some exceptional rocket engineers. That's why their spacecraft beat ours, getting into space. But Werner von Braun single-handedly was responsible, especially for developing the Saturn rocket program, which then allowed us to get to the moon first. Werner von Braun was a Nazi. He was not like, oh, I have to join because I want to be a scientist. He was an effing Nazi. Came to the United States, scientist. I haven't done a lot of research on what his political views were, but this is somebody who very practical on things. On his deathbed, he had an assistant that he dictated to, and there are transcripts of this. This is not made up, where he specifically said on his deathbed, this is what's going to happen in the future, and this is what we've already decided among all of us. Because what's happening now didn't just start with Obama or Schwab or any of those people. This is carrying forward a plan that was started a long time ago. And some could say this plan was maybe started in the 1800s or the 1900s. Who knows? I don't believe in what they do. The problem is they believe in what they're doing, and they have billions of dollars, and the media in their pocket, and the government in their pocket too. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter which one it is. Anyway, my point with all this is Werner von Braun on his deathbed said, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have the United States against the Soviet Union, and then they're going to talk about war in space. Going to need to have weapons in space. That, of course, started the Star Wars program under Ronald Reagan in the 80s. Now, there's a narrative that the United States spending all that money to do that is what bankrupted the Soviet Union rather abruptly, starting in 89 and then cascading through the Soviet bloc republics. The next step, when a lot of us have lived that history, he said the next domino to fall would be terrorism. You're going to have terrorism all over the planet. It's going to require vast sums of money and investment for the military-industrial complex. And he says once that's played out, the last domino to fall will be an alien invasion. And that alien invasion will be done in concert all over the world after building up a narrative where they have created enough plausible deniability that this is going to happen, that they can do it. And the purpose of all these things, this is Werner von Braun, the NASA scientists. The purpose of all these things, starting with the Cold War, starting with going to the Star Wars program and war in space, going to the terrorism scare, was to take all of the money out of the first world, essentially bankrupt us. And then the final domino to fall, to get us to finally submit to having one unelected body over all of us, and the words I can't say, will be a staged UFO alien invasion. Werner von Braun said that on his deathbed. I believe it was in 1971, 1972, it was sometime around that time, dying of cancer, because those guys worked around all kinds of radioactive shit and handling things. They had no idea what the hell it was, it happened a lot. Look at Mary Curie, God bless her soul.
Yep.
Well, here we are. Interesting days. Why do we suddenly not need to grow food anymore? Why do we suddenly not need power anymore?
Even worse, why do you need to register your garden?
Well, yeah, the United States, USDA, actually want you to register your garden. And if you see someone in your neighborhood, go on the websites, people, who has a garden, go knock on their door. Go be a good neighbor. Ask your neighbor, have they registered that garden with the United States Department of Agriculture? Have you? Are you wearing a mask? Are you obeying the taped lines on the floor? How's your carbon footprint? I'm going to get taken out on guys. They're going to take me out. It's just going to happen. It's happened to a lot of people I care about. There's things that have happened with people that I do not have permission to talk about yet. And I will respect that trust. It's hard not to. You think I'm joking? The government in Australia, in concert with the Australian version of the Federal Reserve for their country, just started a pilot program where individual bank accounts will be tracked using a digital currency based upon the carbon footprint of your purchases, that bank, if you go over your carbon footprint, if you eat too many cheeseburgers, if you drive your car too much, if you're using too much electricity or hot water, your bank account will cease to work until you pay that one unelected global body for more carbon credits.
Ah, there's that darn credit system again.
Because there's too many people on the planet, Purple Valkyrie. The problem isn't unelected sociopaths who worship Moloch and do terrible things to younglings. That's not the problem. The problem is normal people who want to have a first world lifestyle, who have Judeo-Christian principles and also Islamic ones as well, that we just want to be left alone, and we just kind of want to have a decent standard of living and not be in wars and go out and have some steak and play baseball and not be led by essentially a global form of the EU Parliament. That's the problem. That's the problem. And that's what they're deeply afraid of. Let's look at more pictures of the UFO stuff before I really do get disappeared or Lee Harvey Oswalded in a parking garage. Go ahead, Purple Bug.
Well, that was pretty much all they had. It was just those sightings because this is such a recent one. I'm going to keep an eye on this because I think we are going to get more. But I think it is just as Salty said, we are going to see more of these formations being shown. We showed one on one of the Wednesday shows. I think it wasn't last week, but the week before, where it was being tracked. And they tracked this thing for over an hour. This guy was driving along and it was the same style formation that we just saw in this video.
Yeah.
So
it's called beta testing.
Yeah.
Beta testing. For
You're
those of
going
you
to see more of them.
Not in IT and software development, that's where you essentially, you're trying to do end user acceptance testing and you're beta testing it, and you want to see if, first of all, they told you to build the right thing, because usually they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then they want you to change everything, because everything they specifically told you that they wanted you to make and the way they wanted it to make it, they're like, nah, never mind, you just pissed away a year and $200 million. Actually, I don't like that. Let's do something else. Anyway, beta testing. Beta testing, that's where you take the bugs out of it, just and then try and rock and roll it, make sure everything's going well, make sure that your interfaces, the people who need to come into this thing and provide other information or data or power, that all works. And then, baby, you turn that switch on and you go. 2 weeks to slow the thread. Hey, I love talking about UFOs, Purple Valkyrie.
Me too.
I love talking about UFOs. That's part of why my big project is what it is. It's coming out on Halloween.
I cannot wait.
Sarah Green. Go ahead, Purple. Go ahead.
Oh, no, please get to Sarah Green first.
Sagrian says the only power any government has is the power to crack down on criminals. Well, they're not going to arrest themselves. Well, when there aren't enough criminals, one makes them. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great quote, and my brother told it to me. My sister-in-law, who's Romanian, and was a child who helped her grandfather dig up the old World War II and World War I rifles that the Romanian family had kept buried and hidden in their backyard. When in 1989, when the Soviets and the Romanians turned against Ceausescu, who was he'd get along with a lot of global leaders right now. Let's just say that. But anyway, after they got done shooting him and then setting him and his wife on fire and throwing their bodies out of the window off our rope, they proceeded to take on the tanks, Soviet tanks, using these World War I, World War II rifles and this ammunition that they put in plastic bags and had been buried in the ground for decades.
Wow.
And what was my point on this, Purple Valkyrie?
Making criminals.
Oh, making criminals. So the whole thing about making criminals is that with all of this, they're making things that are the foundation and basis of a first world society, as well as that which moves societies forward: critical thinking, the nuclear family, consistent power, clean water, being on time, telling the truth, being competent.
Sustainability.
that's white privilege. It's racism. It's not racist, though, to be late, to continually commit crimes, to be violent, to be ignorant. That's equity. That's equity. The other stuff that made Western civilization, that got your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents out from under the thumbs of what was going on in Eastern Europe, or if you came here, unfortunately, through some other means from Africa or other countries, or if you're your family's recent immigrant from Asia, from Latin America, South America, wherever it is, the reason why they left those places was because they didn't want what the people that are in charge now are forcing us to do. And it's weird. And they're doing everything they can to drop this shit back to the 18th century or the 17th century with feudalism. They want to use clever names for it, but that's what it is. So all of this ends up on the place like what Purple Valkyrie just showed us with the UFO stuff. Werner Braun said this back in the 70s when he was dying of cancer. He said, this is the last domino to fall. Look up his words. They are well documented. In the movie that we talked about, Undisclosed, Werner Braun's assistant, who is now in her own right, I believe an astrophysicist, recounts those words. This is not made up shit. There's pictures of her as a young grad student with him, okay? She wrote the book. There were other witnesses in the room saying this is what's going to happen. And everything he said has come true. That last step, it's just that last step with a fake UFO invasion, because we need to unify the planet in equity behind one global body. What else goes going on, Purple Valkyrie? You got any more pictures to look at that UFO?
Not of UFOs, but I do have an interesting article about combining human and mouse neurons, if you would like me to share that one.
We talked about that on your show on Wednesday, because I said they finished with the Human Genome Project. Look what they did with that. You got your boosters lately? All right, Purple, you go with this one.
All right, so absolutely, we were talking about that on Wednesday, and lo and behold, look what's happened. So it says mini brains grown from human and mouse neurons learn to play Pong, because what could possibly go wrong doing that?
Well, you could elect him Prime Minister of Canada, which apparently is what's happened. And the other guy down here, come on. This is like Obama's third term. That's all it is. Go ahead, Purple.
So apparently researchers have taught a synthetic neuron network to play a version of the retro arcade game Pong by integrating the brain cells into an electrode array controlled by a computer program. I don't know about you, Salty, but this sounds like an absolutely terrible idea.
Yeah, I think you know what? I mean, I guess somebody figured out that downloading your consciousness into a hard drive so that you could live forever as an AI just wasn't going to cut it. You know why? Because just because you can store memories on a file does not make sentience. And you and I were talking about this, I think it was yesterday, because we do talk about this woo-woo stuff when we're not doing this, is that even if you could have some quasi-existence that's based only in zeros and one in some algorithm, you still do not have a soul. You are still not a human being, okay? You don't know what it's like to bite into an apple, to eat chocolate, to have an orgasm, any of those things. You are not alive, okay? There's no touch, there's no smell, there's none of that. Now, these madmen think that they're going to live forever in a computer, and someone figured out like, oh shit, this is... guys, this is not what we thought it was going to be. So now they're doing this. We're like, maybe I can put my consciousness in some half-assed Gamma World mutant mouse brain thing and be put in a jar like it's a 1950s horror movie. This is who the billionaires are. This is who is causing all of the crazy shit in our world. And this is the best they can do. Do you get it now? Do you understand? That's all these people are. This is it. This is how smart they are. Sorry, Purple, go ahead.
Oh my god. The more more I read of this, the more horrifying it gets. So a synthetic mini brain made out of human and mouse neurons has successfully learned to play the video game Pong. God help us. After researchers hooked it up to a computer-controlled electrode array. It's the first time that that brain cells isolated from an organism have completed a task like this, suggesting that such learning ability is not limited to fully intact brains locked inside animal skulls.
So you're saying Brandon would still lose playing this against that mouse? Okay, good to know. This is crazy shit. And the crazy thing is about this is this was outlawed. All of this research was outlawed, except in one country. You know what I'm talking about, right? But now they're like, oh, look, look at all this research, look at all this gene manipulation, look at the chimera creation of taking human brain cells and putting them into an animal.
Yes, let's make a semi-aware blob and call it a brain.
Yeah, and we saw someone talking about Stacey Adams earlier, or no, Stacey Abrams. Sorry, yeah, I like seeing Stacey Adams naked. I don't ever want to see Stacey Abrams, but yeah. Why do you think they're pushing the agenda that we're going to start seeing in Marvel Phase 5?
Well,
why do you think they're pushing the agenda they are with the younglings?
It all comes down to the transhuman that we've talked about.
We are the guinea pigs for them. And you all know what I'm talking about. Things that change your DNA. Look at this comment from the Thad That Shouldn't Be. Says, Zach's, just be prepared. The Hulk has gotten exceptionally riled up during your time in Europe. I hate when I walk into the middle of a conversation in chat. You guys seem to really have something interesting going on, and I have no effing clue. Daniel says this, the Next Generation episode, The Schizoid Man, did a great job with this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of cautionary tales in TNG in The Next Generation. Of course, that's back when Jean-Luc Picard was actually a hero and someone to be admired and had class and balls and dignity. You know who else has class and balls and dignity? That's Zax. He says, I'm barbecuing in the sleet right now while typing on a wet screen. That also doesn't make sentience. It's true. It's true. But you know what? As someone who has barbecued in blizzards in Maine, in New Hampshire, and who would barbecue in rainstorms and the mist and all of the rain that ever occurred in the Pacific Northwest, including sleet, I understand that because barbecue is a very, very important thing. It's important to get it right. And as I've moved down here to Texas, I realized that I knew nothing about barbecue. And now I have to start all over. Please continue this article, Purple.
This gets worse the further I go down. It says, in the study, researchers grew a synthetic neuron network on top of rows of electrodes housed in a tiny container, which they called dish brain. Oh, God. A computer program then sent electrical signals that activated specific regions of the neurons. These signals told the neurons to play the retro game Pong, which involves hitting a moving dot or ball with a small line or paddle in 2D.
I can't wait.
Pong. Yeah.
I can't wait until 5G and the graphene oxide and people start getting them to do things that they don't want to do. I'm going to look at a comment in chat because I am crossing all of the boundaries and I have made this joke. I do not want to lose my channel until the big show that I have on Halloween comes out. It's literally gotten to that point, guys. It's not that I don't love and respect and want to be with you guys. It's just a certain point where I feel like I'm being complicit with what's going on here. And that is the fact that anybody who is telling you what's actually happening is said that they're spreading disinformation. And it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a lot worse. It's the reason I've canceled PayPal. It's the reason why I've done other things. And you know what? I'm just one person. But I can sit here and say all kinds of shit that other people should do and be a hypocrite, like a lot of people. Or I can actually do it. Because that's what makes a difference. Daniel says, Isaac Asimov was a genius and a visionary when it came to these questions. His robot series and the Foundation had numerous examples of these questions. I know. I know, but Daniel, reading books is racist, and if I remember right, Isaac Asimov was white. Hello? Therefore, and he was a man. Hello? Make
Cancelled.
room for other voices, Daniel. Yeah, I'm crossing all these lines because it's that goddamn stupid. It really is. It really is. So what else are they going to have them do? Are they going to put those little mouse pong playing brains in those crazy robot dogs they have with the shotguns on them that they swear to God they're not going to come after us with them? But but accidents happen. All right.
That don't
I'll let you
exist
finish
yet.
this article. I'll let you finish this article. Seriously.
I mean, little drones that they can then control. Yes, we can see it all now. But this is probably the most worrying part. This last paragraph. So it says the researchers found that within 5 minutes, the neurons had already started altering the way they move the paddle to increase how often they hit the ball. This is the first time that a man-made biological neural network has been taught to independently complete a goal-oriented task. The researchers wrote it in a paper which was published on the 12th of October of this year. I was kind of hoping that there would be a picture of this god-awful monstrosity, but no, they decided to go with a picture of Pong instead.
There are so many god-awful monstrosities on the internet. We don't need one more. We can just look at the screen of Pong, and pretty much for anybody under the age of 40, probably don't know what the hell Pong is. I mean, it was out when I was a little kid, and it sucked. We had Coleco Pong, and it had these little radio knobs that you turned. And no, I'm not playing with nipples. That's what you did. That's how you move that paddle up and down like this.
It's true. Space Invaders was more fun.
Yeah, I mean, this game got old really quick. Really quick. Sarah Green says, I quit PayPal as well. Bad news. Or says, good news, I quit PayPal. Bad news, I need to find another way to rejoin the super chats. Yeah, I'm probably going to put some stream element stuff in here because of respect for that. The super chats really do help. They really do, guys. Yeah, we won't get into the back end of this, but a lot of your favorite content creators are not just seeing their views magically disappearing, but are also
being punished for wrong thing. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Explicitly by Google. It's Google. Anyway, we can't talk about that. There's no conspiracy, guys. There's no conspiracy. What are you talking about? And Daniel, what the hell are you apologizing for? You're right. I take it all back. Why? Why would you take it all back? I must have missed something in chat because, as we know, I am selectively dumb. Not as dumb as the guy that's not actually at 1600 Pennsylvania, but is in a exact reproduction of that building. You guys know that, right? Why? Oh my God. Daniel says, maybe they can plug the mouse brain computer up to the Boston lab playing with making the coof more deadly. Well, hell, I think increasing the transmission rate and the fatality, was it 80% or 8,000? I don't know. But actually, okay, so here's the thing. Actually making it so that it's a deal at all. I mean, okay, that's fascinating. So essentially you're creating a super flu. God, Purple Valkyrie, wasn't there a book by what was his name? Stephen King.
Oh, hi there, Captain Trips.
Yeah, The Stand. Again, don't watch the dog shit one from recently. Watch the miniseries from 1994. You will thank Purple Valkyrie and Zach's maybe has something clever to say. It says, can you change your super chat denomination to bugs? Yes, pounds of bug dust, which can then be made into delicious, protein-rich, utterly chitin toxic, not edible shit they tell you to eat. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Mealworms for everybody.
Yeah, I used to buy big bags of mealworms. You know who I give them to? My chickens. You know why? Because my chickens were, first of all, they're little dinosaurs. Second of all, they ate bugs all the time anyway. But because that is what happens when you're on the lower end of the food chain. When you're at the top of the food chain, you don't eat bugs. You know who else doesn't eat bugs? Lions, bears, wolves. But they don't talk about that one, do they? They don't. Hail to Mike, the one, the only OBG70 says the stand was the greatest. Dude, please tell me you're saying 1994, dude. Like, come on, right? Rob Lowe. And a young Andy McDowell, who's a crazy redneck bitch. It's awesome. With a rifle shooting at our man Rob Lowe. It's a good movie. Good movie. And Purple and I, while we were watching that, we came to this place of, doesn't it kind of feel, and I may have said this on other shows, but I think it's true. Doesn't it kind of feel that something's happening just like in the stand right now? Where some people are going over to flag side, some people are doing it willingly, some because they're afraid, some because they're truly evil and effed in the head. And then you've got others kind of drifting toward Mother Abigail's side. Some don't want to be brave. They don't want to fight this war. They just want to be left alone. And some that are like, let's just do this. So it's starting to feel right now.
Yes, lines are being drawn.
Jacob Ironside says, Salty Text C, I thought it was the Determinator because I'm dyslexic. The Terminator just showed up at my door and said, come with me come with me. I can't do it. Come with me if you want to live. Why did I put Dracula? What? Purple, what the hell's wrong with my brain? This is why we can't have nice things. Jesus. And I had this link open for this. Like, everything's blown up. I had this link of all the UFO sites. I have trashed everything. Let's talk about Santa Claus. Everybody loves Santa Claus, unless you're an SJW and you don't like anything. And you have to shit on Christmas too. Check this out, guys. This is fascinating. Only 63 days, shopping days till Christmas.
63 days.
Gonna say that. So this comes from the United States Sun, not that trash UK Sun, the United States Sun. And it says, and it was in their technology section. Clause for celebration. Grave of Father Christmas has been discovered under ancient church in Turkey. More than 1,600 years since St. Nicholas's death. This is an article, a recent article from this week. It's like 3 days ago. Archaeologists believe they may have uncovered the tomb of St. Nicholas underneath an ancient church in Turkey. Researchers claim the remains of the holy figure, who, of course, is behind Santa Claus, which is why a lot of the older poems from the 18th and 19th century say Saint Nicholas. And then Purple, when I'm done reading this sentence, you will talk about what that is in the UK, because I still don't understand it. But researchers claim the remains of the holy figure who inspired Santa Claus was discovered under this temple 1,600 years after his death. So that's the temple he's buried under. There is his driver's license photo from 1,600 years ago. Purple Valkyrie, you call Santa Claus Father Christmas in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How is it different than American Santa Claus? Really?
Honestly, it kind of predates it. So with Father Christmas, it kind of predates it and goes back actually to the saints. So before that, you correctly said he was Saint Nicholas or Saint Nick, and then it was Kris Kringle, and then it went to Father Christmas. So this has always been a thing, but our Father Christmas is a little bit more severe, he seems, than your Santa Claus. So yeah, if you've been bad, you're gonna know about it.
Oh, does he use a belt? Is he not afraid to smack a bitch if you step out of line?
That's pretty much what he used to do. Yeah, he used to punish kids who had been bad. So you actually had an incentive to be good throughout the year. You wouldn't just not get a gift, or you'd get coal. You'd actually probably be beaten. Or there is also the kind of the anti-Father Christmas, which is from the more Germanic countries, which is
of
Krampus.
course. Yeah. We all know the German skills at building ovens, but yeah, I mean, you get into the Eastern European side and things get a little dark. But
Yes.
also, the Germans really do know how to do Christmas. I've got German heritage in my family, and my God, some of the amazing food. There's a lot of great German villages all throughout the country because of the great heritage they brought over here, and their Christmas stuff is amazing. My brother continually sends me pictures. They go to Christmas bazaars or Christmas fairs in Austria and Slovakia, and then also they go into Germany and other, all these different Eastern European countries, and it's different than here. It's not like the American Christmas, it's very different, and
Hmm.
I envy all the delicious food and bonfires and crazy stuff, and within all of it. And I saw this a lot in Romania and in Slovakia. The pagan stuff is all worked into all of this with the Eastern Orthodox, like the
Yes.
iconography of pine trees and eggs, and the symbolism of taking an orange and I believe putting 27 cloves of cloves in it.
That's correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of these things, which go way, 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 way back to the original pagan belief system. It's
Hmm.
absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yes, even it goes back to the color red, which represents blood for sacrifice. Any evergreen plants such as holly or mistletoe, and even the fir trees, the Christmas trees, which technically we didn't really have until probably Victorian period. But even those were brought
Yeah.
over from Germanic customs.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you guys had some revolutions over there and killed your actual royal family, if memory serves. So then you had to go get the new royal family from Germany to replace the ones that had got taken out. Was it in the Reformation?
The Reformation,
Or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
see, look, I paid attention.
There's the Restoration,
Sometimes
yeah.
I wasn't just screwing around and spitballing back in the day and drawing pictures of naked chicks in my trapper keeper. I actually paid attention. God, I miss the 80s. But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to get someone from Eastern Europe to talk about St. Nicholas within the cultures they have and identify them.
Mhm.
I have a young niece who's 4 years old now who speaks Romanian, and my brother speaks like 6 languages. And but she also speaks very fluent English, but she's Romanian dominant. And it would be very fascinating to hear how in how predominantly my in-laws, not my in-laws, my brother's in-laws do Christmas, because it's kind of the same, but it's different, especially Eastern Orthodox. My brother, of course, being an American, turned her on to Charlie Brown Christmas, all the claymation Christmas stuff, reads her all of our Christmas stories, watches Garfield Christmas because that's what he grew up with as a kid, and he wants her to have it too. It's just, what I'm saying? It's fascinating to look at this stuff. And we are, as I said, you only have 63 days to shop for Christmas. And if you want to know what I want, I actually have a list on Amazon. I'm teasing. I am. But let's get to Daniel. Daniel, for $5, thank you, for $5 says, I'm confused. Is this article stating that his elves built a time machine? We have to be very careful with this information, Daniel. If you thought me talking about Klaus Schwab and one world government was going to get me in trouble, this is being disappeared. This type of information. Is this article stating that his elves built a time machine for Santa Claus and he went back 1600 years into the past and then died?
Yes.
I don't know how to answer that question. You know what you just did, Daniel, is you created an entire franchise that Disney could make, which could actually be a truly amazing story if they hired you and I and Zax and Purple Valkyrie to write it and then didn't let any SJWs in the room. It would probably be a bigger billion-dollar franchise than the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
I'd have to insist that we get Tim Allen back, though.
Well, of course. I'm open on a lot of these decisions. I really am. I mean, those like now that I'm directing and producing people, you all know that I'm a light touch. You know what I mean? Like, you just do you. But God, that's such a good comment, Daniel. Daniel, start making more content. I like what you do, dude. Yeah, there it is. Sarah Green has it. And this is the Cloven Fruit, a great flirty party game. I don't know what that is. Purple, is this a chick thing? Do you know what this is?
I don't, but I think I'm going to have to look into this. I know of it, putting the cloves into
Oh,
the
yeah.
orange, but I didn't know there was a game associated with it. I'm fascinated now.
Well,
I
my
want to
brother,
play.
when I was last over there, what my brother did is they put, was it 27 or 32 actual sharp little cloves of cloves into the orange, and then they put that orange, I think they slit it and then put it in a big thing of palenka, which is a
Mhm.
Romanian moonshine, which is actually quite good. It's almost too good. You got to be real careful with that. But it was delicious when I'd had it. They'd serve it warm, so it would have this lovely orange oil clove, um, Everclear like vibe going on, and you would sip it hot, in the Romanian Alps, hanging out with people who spoke Romanian. And if you're me, you know how to say please and thank you. Where's the bathroom? And yes, I'd like some more food. That's about all I had. Hanging out with people, besides my sister-in-law. But yeah, Jacob Ironside, are you being a little rain cloud? He says, so Santa Claus has been dead this entire time. So who's been flying around in a red suit and a sleigh? Well, I'm not saying it's me, Jacob, but I'm not saying that it's not me. Let's close out of this article. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, oddly colored like the Third Reich, if we're honest about it. St. Nicholas passed away on December 6th, 343 AD. He was a time traveler. This is going to be in some weird paradox. Maybe this is what that CERN Hydron Collider is all about, to get Santa Claus back. And he was allegedly buried at a UNESCO recognized church located in the small coastal town of Dumri. I don't know. It's in Turkey. If you're Turkish, correct me. Otherwise, you take a shot at it. His alleged tomb, which has been described, has the original Santa's grotto,
Okay.
was not found until 2017. Just conducted electronic surveys. Turkish archaeologists reported detecting a crypt 5 feet beneath the marble slabs, which makes the church floor. One long-standing theory is that the tomb shifted underground during an earthquake and remained undiscovered until modern techniques allowed experts to scan and find
Hmm.
time traveling Santa Claus's body.
That's kind of convenient
Hey,
if you
hail to you, Brightest dude. That stuff you recorded is outstanding. Thank you for that. Brightest Day, another voice talent that we're adding to the special Halloween project. Again, very busy man, very talented man. Thank you for making the time, good sir. I have another article to get into, but before that, Purple Valkyrie, what did you want to say?
Oh, I just to say it's a little bit convenient that this tomb was undiscovered for so long. So I'm going to put this in the maybe category and say that I still believe in Father Christmas. So try to keep on his good
I don't think
list.
this is Santa Claus.
Yes.
I don't think this is Santa Claus. First of all, Santa Claus is in Turkish. Second of all, as Daniel rightly points out, Santa Claus has elves. Hello. And he lives at the North Pole. And he's a jolly Caucasian gentleman. Primarily, I would say, of almost Aryan like background, with a wife who's also, could be Irish, could be German, could be Polish. She bucks some lass, great cook, good stuff. They're still very, very much alive, and they give presents every Christmas. So I don't know. I'm going to say maybe on this one, but I'm leaning toward now. Santa Claus is just fine.
He's good.
Sarah Green says, if you present the orange stuck all over with cloves to someone you fancy, they remove a clove, freshen their breath, and reward you with a kiss. Then they pass it on again.
Oh, okay. That's
It's
kinda
like
cool.
spin the bottle with no bottle. Okay. I kind of like that. So who you sit by really determines the quality of the evening you're going to have. That's what I'm taking away from this game, Sir Green.
Yes, indeed. Or who you're sneaky enough to just casually pass the orange to. Yeah.
I want to say hello to Teresa, Miss Martin Muses. As ever, you had a great show talking about the Sword of Shannara trilogy. Today, Jacob says hello as well. DJ Grom says, "Oh my God, it's Salty Texas Sea." Well, oh my God, it's DJ Grom. Oh my God, it's DJ Grom. And here comes Matt being a little rain crowd saying, "Actually, technically, Father Christmas comes out of English pagan folklore, not so much the Christian saint." He's not wrong. The 4 or 5 myths that blended into modern Santa Claus are fascinating. It's true. And if we really wanted to get weird on it, we have to talk about the influence of the Coca-Cola Company and their marketing plan, which produced the current American iconography that is Santa Claus. But again, and I will fight to the end on this one. Santa Claus is real. He does live at the North Pole. Elves are involved, and yes, reindeer do fly. And do you know why? Because I find that more fucking plausible than cow farts causing the climate of the planet to change. How'd you like that, Google?
And technically,
is that what got me nuked? Is that the one that's going to get me nuked too, Google? I'm angry today, guys. I know it's leaking out a little bit, but my friends are being hurt. And you know why? Because they're telling the truth, and it is frustrating. Because it's just a matter of time before they come for every single one of us on this platform, unless you're a total shill. All right, let's talk about this one. Purple Valkyrie, you knew what the hell this was, and I didn't. And I don't know if that says I'm a moron or you're just really scary. So this one comes to us from theconversation.com. And this is called "How Do You Spot a Witch?" This notorious 15th century book gave instructions and led to the execution of thousands of women. This article was published just yesterday. So this book is called the Purple, you say it 'cause you're smarter than I am.
Malleus Maleficarum. It means hammer of the witch.
Hammer of the Witch. Books have always had a power to cast spells on their readers figuratively, but there's one book that was popular in the 15th through the 17th centuries, and infamously it is about spells and witchcraft in women. What witches do, how you can identify said witch, insert Monty Python duck joke now, how to get witches to confess, and how to bring them to a swift, merciless, brutal judgment and end.
But saving their soul in the process, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like we have to get rid of everyone on the planet to save the planet, except for unless you're really wealthy, then you don't have to eat bugs. The book's instructions, again, this is the Malleus
Maleficarum.
Maleficarum. This is like a Harry Potter spell. I need to go to Hogwarts to say the name of this goddamn book. The book's instructions helped convict some tens of thousands of people, almost all women, who were executed for those 2 centuries. Its bloody legacy stretched from North America, of course, with the 25 supposed witches burned to death in Salem, Massachusetts in the late 1600s. Now, there is a reference librarian and an adjunct professor at the General Theological Seminary of New York. This is the individual who wrote this article. They say, "I had the rare opportunity to hold an original copy of Malleus in my hands and shared this piece of history with their students." So it's a 101 of witches. It was written in 1486 by 2 Dominican friars. And they just kind of made this up while they were probably
pretty much
getting trashed on meat and buggering each other. Purple, what do you think of this book? Have you ever seen or read any of this book?
I haven't. I would actually love to own a copy just because I have a fascination with witches, especially the persecution of witches over the centuries. But I've never been lucky enough to see one of the copies in person. But I would love to read it. But yeah. This was definitely a how to deal with your witches guidebook, and unfortunately, even though they probably made up, I would say all of it, it was taken incredibly seriously. This was the go-to guide for how to get rid of them.
It's like if you're a billionaire software executive you suddenly know about virology. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So this book, written in 1486, was broken into 3 parts. The first part argued that witches do in fact exist. Sorcery is heresy. Heresy means going against the church, trademark, and you know which church that is back in these days. And not fearing the witcher's power itself, not fearing the made-up thing these drunk guys who buggered each other made up, makes you a heretic as well. So if you deny the science of the 1400s,
and this is why this book was so popular.
If you're guilty of misinformation in the Dark Ages with these assholes who made something up because they wanted to profit off of it, you are just as guilty as the witch themselves. Everything old is new again. This is nuts. They're doing the same shit now. I know. All right. Okay. Part 2 goes into graphic detail about witches' sexual deviancy. Okay. I hope there's pictures. I really do. With 1 chapter devoted to, quote, the way whereby witches copulate with those devils known as incubi. Dun, dun, dun. So an incubus is a male demon believed to have sex with sleeping women.
Mm-hmm.
Again, let's say that one again. You're a woman and you're asleep, and then evil spirit comes in and has their way with you. And if that's the case, then you're a witch.
Yes. I think these guys had too much time on their hands, and this is the fan fiction that they were.
They were just drinking mead and buggering each other. That's what that means. Let's just call this what this is. You know, this is again, these are the SJWs of the Dark Ages, and we have our own version of them now. But they're making up rules, and they're making up little rules and little games, and creating paradigms by which what they say has power. And if you don't follow what they say, you are a heretic. Do you see how insane this all is? They're doing it now with big tech. It's the same shit. It's just over and over and over again.
Yes, and this is a great example as to why not to believe everything you read, because the reason this was so incredibly popular is because of the way it was laid out. It was laid out in what for the time was a very scientific manner. It wasn't a story, it was a guide, basically. It broke down in chapters.
Yeah, it's like the immunization schedule for children now, or duct tape put on the floor and things like that. Again, look, we made rules. If you don't follow those rules, you're a heretic. Those rules don't make sense. Doesn't matter. You're a heretic. But nothing you're doing makes any sense. You're a heretic. You get the heretic. It also describes this witches' ability to turn their victims into animals and their violence against children. Can't touch that. The third and final part gives guidelines on how to interrogate a witch, including torture, how to get her to confess, and ultimately sentence and murder her. There were 28 editions of the Malleus that were published between 1486 and 1600, and it remained the definitive guide on witchcraft and demonology for many years, helping the persecution of witches take off. Of course, they're going to turn every article into climate change or gender studies bullshit. So, of course, that's what this article did. Targeting women, the authors of the text reluctantly admit that men can become agents of the devil, but argue that women are weak and inherently more sinful, making them his perfect targets. I don't know. I'm pretty goddamn sinful. Purple, do you think I'm more sinful than you? Who do you think's more sinful?
I think we should put a poll in the chat and let the chat decide.
That means I have to do work. Well, all right. Well, then you carry the show, lady. Yeah. No, you carry the show. No, you're going to do this. All right, fine. You talk. I'm going to kill a poll. I'll be right back.
You guys are amazing. Phone Box Chicken, great to see you. Says, I believe King James the First or the Sixth in Scotland loved this book. He was big on witches. Now we have weirdos like Gridlock wanting to bring the nonsense back. Yes, indeed. James the First or Sixth, whichever you prefer to call him, was absolutely terrified of witches. He did everything he could to eradicate them, and which is why witches in Scotland were treated so much worse than the ones in England. Whereas in England, there were a lot of laws that had to be followed. In Scotland, they kind of threw those out of the window. And yeah, you wouldn't want to be accused of being a witch. There are stories of women being stuffed into barrels with nails that have been hammered into it and then pushed down a hill. And if she survived, well, unlucky for her, she was just taken back up to the top of the hill and rolled down again.
Agreed. And I couldn't agree more with Eddie, who was, of course, Purple Valkyrie's production assistant. No, I love it. No, that dog barking makes a lot more sense than anything Macron or your former, what the hell do they call it, Prime Minister was. What Purple Valkyrie was showing me that there was, they bet on everything in the UK. They bet on everything on the UK. And there was apparently a bet where who was going to last longer, the recently departed female prime minister, or a head of lettuce. The prime minister or a head of lettuce, who was going to rot away first? Well, if you put your money on that head of lettuce, it was still edible.
Yep.
In better shape than the Prime Minister of the UK, who, boy, I really hope they put somebody more diverse and inclusive who has complex pronouns, isn't actually English, and hates your country. I hope that's who they put in charge of English.
Yes.
Because that's the only way things are fair.
That's the only logical next step here, because God knows they're not going to let us vote.
I'm afraid to look at my own poll. Look what you did. All right, I did give a third option. Because I had to make, oh, look at this. Nobody said you're sinful. You guys, you don't even know, okay? I spent 2 weeks traveling around with this chick. She's a handful, all right? Ask Nico Glock. Ask Snowdub. Ask Punkwaddle. He's a witness, too. So the voting so far with 9 votes, the clear winners, because this chat is full of intelligent, kind, charismatic, smart, forward-thinking people. 89% of the votes say Payne and McKay, the Rings of Power showrunner. Oh, look, Purple, you voted for yourself, didn't you? Yeah, I know she did. I watched that vote just turn. Yeah, Purple. Look at her. You know what? She's pulling a Democratic Party on in 2020. They're stuffing the ballot box. She gave herself one vote. It was a mail-in. Now we're tied. We're tied. Salty and Purple Valkyrie are tied with 10% each as to who's more sinful, but Payne and McKay are still winning by a long shot. Yeah, this is crazy, right? When you start creating these weird rules and you're all twisted and sexually like turned around and you're an alcoholic, and these guys again made up little secret society and little rules and segregated themselves off and did exactly what intersectional feminism is doing and what the origins of neo-Marxism is doing. That's what this is. That's all this is. Giving it a different name doesn't change the evil that it does. Oh, yeah. Accusations of witchcraft were often rooted in the belief that women, especially those who did not submit to the ideals of obedient Christian wives and mothers, were prone to be in league with the devil. Was somebody who only dated women like that? I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying they had a point. But yeah.
This doesn't sound very feminist, Salty.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But then again, it was a simpler time. They just blamed women for everything. Then it's kind of like now where they just blame. Oh, I can't even make that joke because they'll just take my channel out immediately. So the authors detail 4 horrible crimes which devils commit against infants. Oh, you know exactly what I want to say right now, don't you?
Oh.
We got devils committing those against infants right now and in the womb and via breast milk. Anyway, both in the mother's womb and afterwards, they even accuse witches of eating newborns. This is like you're hanging out at Jeff's Island and are especially suspicious of midwives. So this is the fascinating turn where you have the archetype of the crone. And the crone was so important to matriarchal, matrilineal societies, especially those that were in more rural settings. And they really wanted to destroy the wise woman of the village. And that's what this was about, because the wise woman, the crone, the one with the herbal knowledge, the one who could fix mended bones and knew which herbs to give you when you were feeling sick. That was competition for trademark the church. So this book was essentially what the globalists are doing right now when they locked everything down for 2 weeks to destroy their competition at the local level. That's what this book is. Everything old is new again. It's about taking the very powerful with a lot of money and making sure they have a monopoly on everything. And yeah, I know I'm fucking ranting like a goddamn lunatic, but look at the world we live in. So yeah, we're talking about this Malleus book. It's about witchcraft again.
But we've talked about
they
the
just
history
made this shit
repeating
up.
itself.
They
Yeah.
just made this shit up, and then people bought into it. It's like intersectional feminism. It's like saying communism works. It's like saying cow farts cause something. It's about saying that windmills actually are reliable. It's that, like solar panels don't actually cause tremendous environmental destruction and cannot be recycled. All of this stuff. And yeah, Salty is having a stroke today, but you want to look to the past to see where we are now and where we're going to be, because this has all happened before. This is dark human nature, and dark human nature can get a PhD in biochemistry or computer science. It can go attend things with a fund that is economically worldly. It can do all those things. At the end of the day, it's still this. And that's what has me upset about everything, guys. And I know that I have crossed a lot of lines today, and I've probably driven a lot of people away, and I'm sorry about that. But I'm speaking from the heart today, and I'm going to do it while I can. And I really hope that I still have this channel, just so I can show you all the hard work that I've put into things. This Jacob Ironside sent, he's doing his own little tease here. And apparently he's doing this artwork on his own, and I respect that. I respect someone who does their own work, and I have to be careful not to show all of my message. But thank you for that, Jacob Ironside. I look forward to seeing that. Being a creator, it's something that I'm going to start doing a lot more of. You all may have noticed that the Tuesday show kind of went by the wayside. There's a lot of reasons for that. We'll probably bring it back in a different form, but I reached a point where, again, what they're showing as entertainment is beneath contempt. And for me, I came to this place of a realization that I am an important step in their marketing plan, which is they lie and call us names. I talk about how they're lying because we never called them that name. They then say, look at them. They're upset because they can't handle X, Y, and Z. Then I go, no, that's not what we said. You guys are effing morons. And they say, look at this toxic fandom who's racist and doesn't like struggle. And it's like, how many times are we going to do this?
Yeah, you're feeding into it.
How many times are we going to do this? And you know what? It really, for me, was I will never finish watching the Rings of Power because there's nothing to watch. It's not worth it. It's not worth 3 more hours of my life. My life is richer for stopping watching that show. Just like I don't have Disney, I don't have Hulu, I don't have, I may surf the 7 seas, or surf the 7 seas. I may sail the high seas for some other things that don't involve those properties, but I don't even sail the high seas to watch the shit from those networks. I have never seen any of this shit on Disney. Look at what Andor did. Oh my God. I'm so shocked. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like who didn't see that one coming, you know? And Marvel Phase 5. Transhumanism. That's the next phase. That's not my opinion. It's what they've said they're going to do. So get ready for that, folks. And if you don't like it, you're a bigot. Oh, why do you think they're turning their power off and starving everybody? What's going on in chat, Purple Valkyrie here?
Sarah Green has a fantastic comment.
What is it? Go ahead and take it.
So she says, I bailed out of 2 live stream invites tonight, but I came here for woo-woo with you guys. Thank you, sweetheart. I've hit critical mass from the culture war and need some R&R.
Roger that.
Nailed it.
I am not belittling anyone. And Purple Valkyrie, you have your own take on this. I'm not speaking for anyone. I'm not speaking for anyone I work with, that I'm friends with. This is for me. I'm not speaking ill of anyone that I'm acquainted with or have worked with before. I am not in any way referring to any much larger channels. There's no bullshit weirdness in this. I'm just talking about me. I'm done. I'm done. And that's why you're seeing me make projects like I do, like the Fire Fandom, like Dark Passages, and like this other skill set that I'm doing with this thing, which we will announce very soon. And I'm going to be dropping commercials for it because so many people have given time to this and so much work. You have no idea. I mean, like, I was not shocked. There are so many talented people here, and we're just civilians. We're not Hollywood assholes. And in the chat, all of you, we have more heart and more talent and more soul. And you all know that. Then those I gotta pick a right word. The individuals that are providing our re-education, which they call entertainment. All we need to do is put one foot in front of the other and start making something. Yeah. You're not going to hit a home run the first time.
No.
Not everyone's going to be a home run. But when you work with good people, people who hold themselves to a high standard as well, and who are fair, but supportive, you can make great things. We don't need them. They need us. And when you take it away, they don't like it. Because we're supposed to love them because we're subhumans. Because they're the good ones. They're the bright and the best. We're nobodies because we're not in Hollywood or New York or DC or Downing Street or Ottawa. And they don't like to be ignored. And they really don't like when their lies aren't believed anymore because, friends, that's when the violence starts. All right, Purple Valkyrie, let's take a look at this right here. No, we already did that one.
Yes.
Did I mention we only have 63 days until Christmas for Christmas shopping?
Can I just say hey and a huge thank you to Silverlock. It is so good to see you.
Oh my God. Holy cow. I don't know how far behind I am in chat because I'm in the process of channeling. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Silverlock, hail to you. I'm sorry I didn't know about the Orlando meetup and all that other stuff. I don't sit at the cool kids table. I kind of hang out with ne'er-do-wells like Purple Valkyrie and Zax and OBG70 and Amanda Manethrin and Daniel and oh, God help me, Squeak a Mouse for $19.99. Thank you. It really does mean a lot. Thank you. It says I dropped Amazon after what they did to Wheel of Time. There's been a lot of people asking me to rewatch the show so that I could re-experience that horrible thing. I have friends who are redoing that and getting trashed, getting drunk, making fun of the show, and that's cool. I mean, that's awesome. I do not have it in me to hurt my soul anymore. I just don't. I will review Wheel of Time season 2, but I've already come up with a different strategy for this because we're going to talk about what the book is. I'm going to focus on that. We already know what this trash dumpster fire shit show that Rafe Judkins is putting together because he's told us. He's told us he has made up the sexuality of characters based on his worldview for characters that never had those sexualities. He's also creating other characters to be more representational of the magic-using Aes Sedai by taking one sentence that was an homage to a fan written in a book not by oh my God, I'm getting stream bane.
Robert Jordan.
Anyway, but not written by Robert Jordan. You can tell I haven't eaten. Robert Jordan, but written in the last sentence by Brandon Sanderson to a fan. This is not the story It's not Robert Jordan's story. It is not the Wheel of Time series. It is not going to be The Great Hunt. And newsflash, it is going to be book 2 and book 3 jammed into 8 45-minute episodes of television. Now, those of you who read The Wheel of Time, you know exactly what they're going to do. Nothing that resembles the story you know. You know why? Because season 1 was nothing of the story that resembles that you know. So here we are. I agree, Silverlock, but I will make videos on it. I will. And again, the focus will not be just to rage, because if you want to have a good time, watch Salty mock in the most bitter, caustic ways that I possibly could that horrible dumpster fire of absolute flaming raccoon shit that Rafe Judkins called Wheel of Time. Mr. Batsu says, if you get out of the habit of regular TV or movie watching, you soon find you don't need them. I'm about 20 years without TV and 9 years since I last went to a movie theater. I was like that with TV for a long time. I don't even know what's on broadcast television.
Mm-mm.
If I have to go to some place that has TV going, especially CNN or MSNBC, I want to scream. I really, it's like when they put Chewbacca in that cell with the screaming klaxon on Cloud City, and he's like, ah, ah, they're torturing him. That's me. If I have to watch cable news in any public setting, that's exactly what it's like. So I totally get it. Purple, have I blown up everything today? Am I just a fucking lunatic or what?
No, not at all. But you guys are absolutely right. Great to see you, Leia Rose. Hey, honey, how are you doing? And let me grab it if it'll let me.
Okay, take it. You take this one.
Sorry. So it says, Jacob Ironside says, I'm sitting at my desk that faces 2 big windows. It's nighttime out. I see a bright light flash past. It scared the pee out of me. It's a UFO. It was someone with a light. Flashlight. It's
well,
always
if you
good to
would have
check.
presented that to the United States Senate, they would have admitted that as evidence to then build their case for whatever. So then it would discredit actual things. I get what you're saying, right, Jacob? It's crazy. It's funny because when you don't go looking for UFOs and then you get that tickle, you get that that, and then you're like, how did you know to look over there? Like, what was that? We talk about that on other shows. So you're not wrong about that. Then, of course, are you and I like battling each other for putting comments this time? You're good. I studied Roman Catholic religion. This comes from Dempsey. I studied Roman Catholic religion for about 12 years or so. I never came across any teachings that said demons are fine. I agree. Any Christian who says that may need to reread that book. I agree with that. It's interesting what they have done in total spectrum dominance of our culture. Dempsey. One of the first things to get occupied were positions of leadership within established religions. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? Not just the big one that has its own nation state, but other ones as well. Why do you think they have all of those crazy mega mall churches doing all that stuff, essentially repeating all of the same narrative that you'll find on CNN, MSNBC, ABC News? Wheel of Time books is an amazing read. I never attempted the TV after I heard who they cast for it. It's true. The very first video that one of the first videos I made that actually took off, and when I said took off, I actually got over 100 views when I started my channel, was talking about the race changes and the aging up of the characters. This is like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. It's a long time ago, with Wheel of Time. And that was the first time I was like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's a perfect story. You can make all the money. This could be 10 seasons of television. This could be absolutely amazing. Why would you do that? Because I didn't know who Rafe Judkins was yet. Mr. Batsu. The thad that shouldn't be. Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Please put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a penny, a hay penny will do. If you haven't got a hay penny, then God bless you. I did that like a beat poet. I need like bongos and like one of those
And a beret.
goatees. Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. All right, now I got a new idea. I'm totally going to do Beat Poet Christmas readings. I'm totally going to give you credit, Matt, for that one. You guys think I'm kidding, but you know I'm a lunatic, but I love that idea, right? The goose is getting fat.
So we're going to get a
Daniel says,
night
Brandon
before
said-
Christmas.
It was the night before Christmas, baby. Santa's coming down your chimney, baby. Ooh. Yeah, wait, what did I do there? That was like Scent of a Woman. We almost went that way. Brandon Sanderson had no right to introduce that into Brandon Jordan's series when it never existed there. I agree. It was a made-up line in one sentence, which again was an homage to a fan. You had to go looking for that and then make this big leap because you had an agenda. You have a laundry list of shit, and I kept saying this in season 1. The talking points in the agenda items were created long before anybody even looked at what the hell Robert Jordan wrote. All of it. And it's really obvious. Season 2, I don't know, they got gimps and BDSM and more pronoun modern current year because you got to see yourself on the screen. The problem is the people they want to see are 0.00001% of the population. Mr. Batsu says, I lost it when I heard the story starts with Perrin already having been married and now a widow. I know. Well, I am of the opinion, and so is Steve, and I will defend this one till the end, that Perrin was married to a woman who was a beard, that Perrin's actually gay. He did it just because of the societal pressure of Robert Jordan's world not to be gay, which is how Rafe Judkins' fucked up brain works, which is why they had to kill the wife in the first place. And that I think Perrin and Rand are going to have a gay affair. I wish I was kidding. I wish I was being funny, but I think it's going to happen. Because that's Rafe Judkins. Phonebox Chicken says, I don't subscribe to any TV service. I don't really watch TV. I know, right? The only thing I tend to watch is old episodes of the Top of the Pops that are now repeated for a laugh. It's a show. It's shows from the 1993 now. I watch a lot of Johnny Carson episodes. Going all the way back. And Richard Pryor will come on, Frank Sinatra. I just saw the one with George Carlin. I saw but Paul Reiser's first appearance, a young Paul Reiser before he got his break, who of course was in Aliens and then Mad About You and all those other things. I talked about it the other day. What was it? The game shows, but then there was, the Dick Cavett show. Check out the Dick Cavett show. So I'm going to do one state because I do not want to be a liar, and then we're going to GTFO because Purple actually sent me a box that I don't know what's in it, and we're going to open it on camera. I hope I know what's in it, but I did not want to. I'm not one of those guys that peek. I don't peek unless you're a hot chicken, you get an address. But I don't peek at presents. I totally don't do that. Let's take a look at the state of Alabama. These are the most haunted sites of the United States by state. This is Alabama, and it is from the Alabama Heritage Site. This is the Phantom Steamboat on the Tom Bigby. I can read English. The Phantom Steamboat of the Tom Bigby. So this is a recent article. Anyway, this is from a book called 13 Alabama Ghosts in Jeffrey, and the story first appeared in 1969. It was a book, and this book was reprinted in 2014. One of the tales in particular is called The Phantom Steamboat of the Tom Bigby, and it is intriguing because it is actually based on a historical tragedy that occurred in Alabama. Now, there was a steamboat called the Eliza Battle, and this was one of those big old side wheelers, where they'd have those riverboat gamblers on, and it weighed 315 tons. Now, this steam wheeler had a reputation of a great quality and a great size among the upper Tom Bigby river trade. The Eliza Battle left her history behind in several records, including what they transported. That would be cotton, tobacco, other things like that. And there was a lawsuit that resulted from the major loss of life. So on March 1st, 1858, there was a fire that started on the ship. Now, some say there was a robber that lit the blaze trying to cover over a murder, but it's most likely that sparks were emitted by a passing steamboat that ignited the large bales of cotton that were loaded onto this transport vessel. Fire pumps that saved the ship previously from ruin, because this had happened before, could not stop the blaze. The spread destroyed the entire mechanism of steering for the ship. The passengers abandoned the ship, but it was cold because it was October, and many froze to death in the icy water or while on the shore, having been in the water waiting for help, which wouldn't come. Now, the ghost story part of this is that the spirits of those people still haunt the Tom Bigby River, including the surrounding woods and forests. People hear music drifting from the water, often accompanied by screams of people begging for help. Some people even see the ghost of the steamboat itself, that big side wheeler, floating down the river on its never reached destination to reach Mobile, Alabama.
Wow, that is creepy.
Yeah.
And I don't know much
Happy
about
Halloween.
I don't know much about Alabama, but I do remember the steamboats and just the whole idea of being caught, trapped on this burning vessel, and you could either decide to stay on and face certain
Yeah.
death or jump overboard and take your chances, and many people did, but still succumb to the cold. That's a horrific way to go.
So Lassessa and I did both, but I want to answer Purple Valkyrie first. So the first thing about Alabama is you got to have a girl named Susanna. And then you have to go with a banjo on your knee, Purple Valkyrie. That's how this works. Oh, there we go. We got Sarah Green. Says, you just sounded like Elvis Presley singing Santa Claus. It's true. Well, it's Christmas time, pretty baby. Santa's in it. I know the lyrics. I got stream brain. We've been going an hour and a half. We have to stop now. You guys are awesome.
You guys are amazing. And now I've got
Dempsey says,
Susanna stuck in my head. Thank you, Salty.
oh, Susanna,
Don't you
do
cry
something for me?
I come
Oh,
from
look at this. She knows more than the
with a banjo on my knee.
Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. I'm connected to the big guy, and he only gets 10% from me. Dempsey says, courage is found in unlikely places. It's true. And bravery is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Purple Valkyrie, thank you for an awesome show. I want to say a big thank you to those people who gave super chats. We all know the state of the economy.
Yes.
This is a manufactured crisis, but it's still a crisis nonetheless. Thank you very much to Daniel for the multiple super chats you gave. Thank you to Silverlock. It means a lot, you guys. It really does. I mean, I have a career, I'm not living in a van down by the river yet, but I probably will be, because I don't want to do the ESG papers and the chip thing and the QR stuff. So we'll see how this all works eventually. And then, of course, thank you to Dempsey as well. Thanks to everybody who's been in chat. You guys have lit it up with your comments. This is why I love doing the show in the woo-woo. I absolutely do. Jacob Ironside, that shouldn't be. Zach's, Leah Rose, and she's got it right. She says, woo-woo is exciting.
Heck yeah.
Well, this is wild, weird, wonderful, non-werewolf weekend woo-woo. Hail to you, Mr. Botso. Hail to Sir Green. If I missed you, it's just because it's 2022 and it was just only supposed to be 2 weeks, remember? Hello, and of course, thanks to Phone Box Chicken. Dude, that's honestly a great name.
We have an amazing chat. You
Really
guys
great.
are fantastic.
We really do. Thanks to Ms. Martin Muses Teresa for showing up. And then, oh my God, it's DJ Grom was here. And then, of course, OBG70, Brightest Day, Lord Thoth, the usual suspects. We're very lucky. You guys don't think that we don't notice it, and don't think that we don't value it. I say this every show. We couldn't do this without you.
Mm-hmm.
I show up with a bunch of articles, don't know what the hell's going to happen. And Purple Valkyrie does too. And then you trigger us in a good way,
Yes.
So thank you for that. Purple Valkyrie, what do you got going on? Where can people find you next?
Well, we've got a busy week coming up. Not only will we be continuing with the woo on Wednesday, which I always love to do with Salty. It's such a fantastic series, so thank you so much, guys, for enjoying it as much as we do. But I will also be back on Friday for the kind of Halloweeny fun show that I do, but also 4 nights next week I will be covering Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. I have my fingers crossed that it's a good show. It's being released 2 episodes each night, so please let them be entertaining.
Yeah, and if they're not, she's going to cry a lot, and I'm going to have to tell her it's going to be okay. So if this show sucks, please reach out to Purple Valkyrie and tell her we still have parents or something
Yes.
like that. You know what I mean?
Tell her to get over it, but it's okay. But
No.
I'm an eternal optimist. What can I say? And I do like Del Toro. I think he's very talented. But Silverlock, thank you. Thank you so much.
I do not have words. I am humbled a great deal. I don't do insincerity, and I don't do fake shit. You can find a lot of it on YouTube if you want, though. Thank you, Silverlock. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for your confidence. Thank you for your comments, for your articles. Thank you to everyone who's been my friend, and not because you give me a super chat, but just thank you for the respect. I mean, it means a lot. We work really hard. A lot of people work really hard. So it means a lot to me. Thank you. Silverlock for $99.99 says, how about a challenge? We get Purple Valkyrie to do a full show on camera. I tried. But I think Purple Valkyrie, that I think Silverlock's gentle but firm nudging toward that. Maybe we'll get a woo-woo show where you can be on camera again.
Okay. Since it is the Halloween weekend, it will be the 29th, next Saturday. Let's be on camera. I'll dress up Silverlock. Let me know if you want a witch or a werewolf or whatever, and we'll do it properly. The other thing that I also forgot is I will be covering a retrospective on the 30th of The Crow. So we've got guests coming on for that as well.
You love that movie. I've heard you and a couple other of our friends talking about it. Like, you guys know who the hairdresser was who was rated this, and I'm like, you guys are nerds. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like, but no, I look forward to that. But again, Silverlock, thank you very much.
Yes.
Again, we're not playing emotion. We're not trying to manipulate anybody. It means a great deal to us when you super chat. So it really does mean a lot. So thank you all very much. It means a lot. Everyone is in chat, that you follow us here. You see you at Purple's, at Zax's, at Prophet of the Dragons, at Gray, Wakazashi's Tea House. This little coven of ne'er-do-wells that we've put together over here. So thank you all very much. And Silverlock, thank you.
Thank you.
And again, thank you to Daniel. Thank you guys very much. And thank you to everybody who's been in chat. We got Daniel. He's doing an acceptance speech at the Oscars for me. He's saying, thank you, Silverlock. Seeing Purple on camera is an early Christmas present. I know, you guys have to be specific. I mean, maybe have her be a werewolf witch who wears a corset.
I can do that. I've got the necessary parts.
Exactly. Oh my God, what the hell is going on, you guys? Jesus. Oh my God, everybody wants to see Purple's cleavage, and Purple looking like all like, wow. To be fair, you're not wrong. William 101, dude, longtime channel member. Hail to you. It's a $50 super chat. You guys are going to make me like a little verklempt. Thank you. So for $50, says, sorry I'm late. Keep up the great shows. We all love you guys and gals. Well, we feel that way too. That's why we put a lot of effort into the content we make. Purple Valkyrie, you crushed it with the Raven. A lot of comments on that video. I didn't even have to ask. I just said, do whatever you want. And she came with that. And brilliant. Just brilliant. This woman is beautiful, funny, kind of crazy, but very talented. You know what I mean? And to get to work with people like this, it's an honor. Thank you very much, William 101. You never have to apologize for being late. We will try and keep up the good shows. And again, we have nothing but the most of the regard for all of you. Unbearable 73 has been a member of the channel for 6 months. Matt also recorded with him for the big project that we have, Unbearable 73. He has a significant part. I'm not going to give this damn thing away that we have. He's been a member at my Taveran channel member for 8 months. He says, how about instead of a witch, she dress up like an actual Valkyrie? Well, why not both?
I can do that. I can recreate
You have
the Valkyrie.
birthday look.
Yeah, I can recreate that look if that's what you guys would like.
Yes. Yes. I love these ideas. Purple Valkyrie, you do you, but I would very much, if you you do you. I'm not the boss of you. God, I would never want that job. But if you're so inclined, it seems like the chat would love to see you as a witch, a werewolf. Let's do this. Witch, comma, werewolf, comma, and an actual Valkyrie. I happen to agree with that side of this thing. So Paul sorry, here we go. Chat jumped on me. Paul Bustle says, I am just glad I met Purple in Dallas. I know, I'm glad I met Purple in Dallas.
It's great to meet you as well, Paul. It was so good to meet a lot of you guys.
Sarah Green says, what Unbearable just said. Lots of Matt love tonight. Purple Valkyrie says, we loved meeting you all as well. Thank you. These are hard days, and you all know what I'm talking about. It's going to get weirder, but we got each other. And as long as this channel's still up, I really hoped you enjoyed today's show. I loved your comments. Thank you again so much for the super chats. It means a great deal. Please, if you haven't subscribed to Purple Valkyrie, please check out the series I put together called Dark Passages. I did an absolute resurrection from the dead of a print from 1910 that was done by Edison Labs that was damaged. A lot of what you see on screen, I had to kind of magically extract from an incredibly damaged print. It's Frankenstein, 1910, very early silent movie on this channel, Dark Passages. It's about 12 minutes. Change the music out. You get to see the very first on-screen cinematic representation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So give that a look. Please hit that thumbs up if you want to. Please hit the thumbs up for this show. But you guys, I think I'm going to go eat something. Then I'm going to go drink bourbon. And then I'm going to go I'm going to open the box Purple Valkyrie got me. And I'll probably take some video of that and show you what it is. But you guys, thanks for being here today. Purple Valkyrie, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Just before we close, what was the poll? What did people say? Who's the more deviant?
Holy cow. So did you use sock puppet accounts? What the hell is going on here? All right. I'm going to work harder now, okay? Payne and McKay, obviously 65%. Who is more sinful? 65% of this 17-vote poll say Payne and McKay. Purple Valkyrie gets nearly 25% of the vote, with her being twice as sinful as me. And then I only get 12%. Okay, that's fair. You're a wicked woman, Purple Valkyrie. You really are.
Wicked,
but in the best
witchy
possible
werewolf
ways.
woman, indeed.
Ooh, witchy woman. See how high she flies. I can never get that high, but I got most of it. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday. We look forward to seeing you on Wild, Weird, Wonderful Werewolf Wednesday Woo Woo with Purple Valkyrie and myself. Thank you guys again for the super chat. Hail to you, Silverlock. Hail to you, Daniel. Hail to Purple Valkyrie for being here. Dempsey, Mr. Batsu. You guys are awesome. I got to drop out the chat because I don't have magical machine elves like you do when you're on Iwanaska to run to your chat for you. Purple, you have a good night. Chat, you have a good night. We'll see you guys later.
Stay spooky, guys.
Oh my God. I said, oh my God, I ran my intro. It's been so long. Like, let's do this the right way. I totally pulled a Prophet of the Dragon.